Yeah. No worries. And then, you got a microphone or something?
I don't know. You volunteering?
Yeah. They just want me to... Oh, sorry.
Let's burn you on, yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to KindaThinky EXCESS Museum. Just a reminder that the toilets are to the front of the stage, to the left of the stage. Is that right?
Yeah, left one.
Left to the front of the stage. You'll see this. Don't go on the stage, no, you'll be embarrassed, I'm sure. Just a reminder that this is being filmed, so if you don't put your face on camera, then don't get in front of it. And now, it's time for you to welcome our hosts to the stage. Please bang your hands together for Rod and Will.
Hello, Sydney. Welcome to KindaThinky. Thank you very much for letting us inside you, Sydney. We appreciate that for the Sydney Science Festival. I'm your co-host, the vague good Dr. Ron Davids, and with me is your co-host, the goodly vague Dr. Will Grant.
I'll stay vague all night.
Stay vague all night. Stay vague.
What the hell is KindaThinky? You might be asking, coming as we do from Canberra. KindaThinky is this camera in a nutshell. Canberra, Hotel City.
That's rude.
KindaThinky, evidence porn.
Yes.
Booze and bad language. Sex with monsters. No, okay, we'll cross that one out. Okay. Theme-based wrong first. Social science spivs on the mate.
More importantly, you know, when you're at work and people say, you know, they say this, they say that. KindaThinky is they, and our guests are definitely those. So we're your source for all that kind of anecdotal information. Come to KindaThinky.
Look, we love evidence. But we also love the stepchild or the evil brother of evidence, the anecdote. We love the bawdy yarn, juvenile jokes, scandalous sagas. Just a couple of additional housekeeping rules for the night. Don't worry about the golf claps and the quiet tittering, or if you're a philosopher, sagely stroking your beard. We want you to yell out, we want you to yell, we want you to holler, we want you to tweet if you are into that kind of thing. Use your hashtag KindaThinky. You might even get read out here on stage. You might even win some amazing prizes that we have.
Amazing prizes. You feel the excitement in the room. I could win Rector GC. You can't win Rector GC.
For those of our delightful audience watching there online, you too can win some prizes. Best selfie watching the live stream will win one of these glorious things in front of you. Profound tweet, that will win a prize as well.
Yes, most profound tweet.
Is this most profound tweet ever?
Yes, ever. It has to be the most profound tweet on the internet.
You get the number one.
The judge's decision will be final and unilateral on that one. We're the judges.
Okay. What are we doing tonight here with KindaThinky?
Tonight we're going to get excessive. We're going to talk about all the excessive things that humanity can do. We're going to ask if we want to live forever. If we do want to live forever, how are we going to do it? We're going to talk about where our garbage actually goes, assuming you actually want to know where all our garbage actually goes.
We want to know about the most glorious harborside nature and how excessive it can be. Can we have one more big, more giant, more gold, more beautiful?
We also want to know what Anglican Jesus would do with all this excess. I have no good authority. Anglican Jesus isn't that Christian. But we're going to find out a bit more about that later on.
What? You're blowing my mind here.
I'm blowing you in my mind. So tonight's going to be moderately extreme, unevenly stable, considered mayhem and mania, with a little bit of information thrown in.
Okay, where are we going to start?
I think we should start with Google.
With Google? Well, that's what everyone does when they're doing their research these days. Type your words into Google.
Yeah.
If you type excess.
So I typed excessive into Google, and the first hit right on Google is excessive sweating. Give it a little bit longer and it'll demonstrate. Then in order, excessive burping, farting, urination, and thirst.
Well, look, we're not laughing at anyone if they have any of those.
You go ahead, urinate before.
Actually, I think I'd probably I suffer from many of those.
So we thought, if we write it down, we're going down to Australians are excessive, leave that open. So what do you get? First, alcohol. So we're relying on you for that. Next, sun exposure. Third,
I like this one. I like banks are gouging us too much on interest rates.
fourth, salt intake. Have you had the bits yet? Garlic bread, getting good. And finally, too much internet time and money on children. Any parents in the room? No. Oh, true.
Yeah, no, my kids are at home looking at the internet. I just like to look at the internet. And I said, I googled babysitter, and that would be enough. So,
They had a license, it wasn't there.
yeah.
So that's what happens when you look up excessive on Google. But we thought, it's a science festival, it's Sydney Science Festival, we will be brochures. One of the prizes will be for the test you get on the Sydney Science Festival brochures.
People are calling that out like
Yeah, they really
It's going to be
are.
on the test.
So let's talk about how much Aussies drink. You want to talk about how much Aussies drink?
I don't think they drink.
Drink, you drink? Three of you drink, all Canberrans again. So it turns out, are we the biggest beer drinkers in the world? In the last 12 months, a third.
Are you just going to lecture me about alcohol?
Yes, I'm going to tell you how bad alcohol is.
Look at you, you're like the anti-alcohol guy.
Make them feel better.
Look, there's a whole lot of people in Australia that don't drink alcohol as well.
I've never met any.
Yeah, 22% didn't consume alcohol in the previous month.
They're trying to trash local economies.
And look, they say that we're drinking more than in 2001. The average alcohol amount goes up by 13%, but the story isn't as straightforward as that.
No, it isn't.
No, no, it isn't.
So we go to the NHMRC, right, the National Health and Medical Research Council. You're all familiar? You all get money from them? No? They're the ones who improve wind time. Wind turbine syndrome doesn't exist. That's why they have to check again until
No, they
it
can
does.
keep checking.
Yeah, keep checking until it does.
You know.
But according to them, are you ready for this? Are you ready? What's risky drinking? How many drinks a day? Any guesses? 40, I heard.
4, 2 or 6.
You deserve a prize, but you couldn't walk this far to get it.
I've really got the guidelines down pat here.
Yeah,
It's
I do.
somewhere between 2 and 6.
And 40. I heard 2 and 40. 2. Risky drinking, according to the NHMRC, is more than 2 standard drinks a day.
Who's already had risky drinking tonight, given that many of the beers are 1.3 standard drinks?
There's a lot of lies in this. Like all biology, it's about optimum, not maximum. So when you hit 2, you're dangerous, and then it gets safe and go down one side. Tell your doctor I sent you.
Where does the risk come from, though?
So the risk apparently comes from not booze, but doing stupid fucking things when you've been drinking. More than half of this lifetime.
No, hang
risk.
on. We go back and the winner.
Don't let them know you're reading.
The winner of wine drinking. I got to know that is the winner of wine drinking is Vatican City. Do they do risky things when they're
That's
drunk?
why they need a Pope mobile. They need to be fully cork. So apparently, more like your risk is way
Everyone's got to
higher.
walk across the bridge or something when they're drunk. In the
They walk
Vatican
across the
City.
water in the Vatican City.
Yeah. I mean, it's risky.
So you have your 2 standard drinks a day, and then you're, let's be fair, a bloke. You pick a fight or get in your car. Lo and behold, that's risky drinking. I'd call that risky driving or risky fighting, but they call it risky drinking. No one cares. So what that means is, drink like crazy, don't get into a fight, and don't drive your car. Because if you egg this up, let's go higher. To get really dangerous, because of alcohol, you need to drink at least 5 drinks a day to get to a 5% risk of being in a whole bunch of trouble with booze. I'm not concerned anymore. Are you concerned anymore? Are you driving home?
I'm not driving home.
Not till tomorrow?
I'm not going to pick a fight. I
Are
don't
you
feel
sure?
like I'm the guy that's going to pick a fight.
There's a few ornery looking critters down the front of you who might get a bit feisty.
I don't think we play that way.
We don't play that way.
Yeah, like-
We only pick on guests, never the audience.
What else can we be excessive at?
Well, you know, we struggle with this every day here. You can be too pretty, and you can be
Are
too
you
smart.
Which one are you?
I'm too pretty and too smart. I have that on good authority. I've done the test.
Who's got good authority? Like, is this on
My
the internet
counsellor,
again?
my counsellor, my electronic counsellor.
You get a special friend that's telling you this.
Yes.
You're too smart, too pretty.
My special friend is sitting next to
They
me.
don't like you because you're too smart. You're just too pretty.
Did you know that's true? You can be too smart and you can be too clever. And
Okay,
also
tell
pretty.
us how you can be too
I don't,
smart.
well, look, it turns out our good friends at Psychology Today, you're all subscribers. Any psychology persons today? Psychologists? Any psychs in the room? One psych. Okay, we can tell you whatever we want. According exactly, Freudianly speaking, according to these guys, so pretty people do actually get a better deal. Are you aware of this? I'm looking around, I think you
You're
are.
not telling us how this
Pretty
is
people
bad.
get a better deal. Well, the problem is them, they get cocky. Did you know that too? Pretty people get cocky.
Isn't that really just sort of some comeuppance that, you know,
They deserve it.
they deserve
They
it?
deserve to be.
No, you know, just a little bit of the roundabout, the
punishment.
pendulum swinging back.
Your punishment for being pretty is you deserve it. Look, if you want to really get into this, we can go to our other good friends at, where are they? Match.com. Anyone on Match.com? Who pretends they don't know what Match.com is? One liar and a fibber. It may have something to do with internet dating. I'm
Do
told.
people even go to that anymore? Like, match,
People
like,
internet date.
like, haven't they moved past to
A
Tinder
few people
and
here,
stuff
I have it
like
on
that?
good authority, are
Yeah,
here
there you
on
go, Tinder.
Tinder.
So I think people have moved past Match.com.
And anyone on Grindr?
Would you
Toilets
like a
that way.
match? Would you like a match? Match.com. Great.
Too much?
Yeah, too much. There we go.
Don't you judge them, they love Grindr. So, apparently, if you're too pretty, yeah, you get in trouble like this, but if you're having trouble with online dating, let me help you out. The people at Match.com have assistance for certain women, not for men. Men apparently can't be too pretty on internet sites. So this poor woman called, where's her name? I think it's Louise E.
I don't know.
Louise E? Louise E?
I've never looked at her Match.com profile.
I've never looked at it either, Will. She apparently put up a picture of herself doing some surfing in a skimpy bikini, and she's quite attractive. And for some reason, she was getting spammed a lot. Have you heard about this?
Oh, look, I'm sure that happens a lot. You hear of people that they go on or any other equivalent and they're getting swamped.
Oh, like, she's apparently a very attractive woman who's wearing a bikini and is worried that all these kooky
So
guys
what are we saying?
are
Are we saying that these sites can't actually work for people that are too pretty? You know, they're too good looking, so they're going out there looking for either the long-term relationship or the short-term relationship. And
I think they're just mad about spam.
but that's the thing. They're getting too much.
They're mad about spam.
That is not a useful service for.
pens and notes out because we're ready to help you out. They've told Catherine E, don't feel obliged to read every email. So if you're too pretty and you're getting too many dates, don't read every email. They've also
But
suggested...
how do you know? They're the good one might be there. Like Prince Charming.
Oh no,
might
they can
be
help
just
you with
a-
that. Reward originality.
Okay.
So if you get sent an email that's original, I don't know what original means on Match.com. We should
It
maybe
kind of
look that
sounds
up at
wrong.
half time.
I don't actually know it. That's
So you want to be original on Match.com.
yeah,
Accept
the
your
only
fate.
guy ever that does that thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the only guy ever that does that thing.
I think you should try. Your wife's not here, is she? Not tonight.
No.
So apparently they say in the end though you should accept your fate. So on Match.com, if you're good looking, you've just got to accept it.
So there wasn't any advice for her? Just
Not
accept
really.
it. That's not advice.
No, the other one was be as
Accept
merciless
it.
as you need to be.
They didn't have anything like, just
No.
post you at work, some
No.
pictures of you at work and
No.
not on a surfboard or something like that.
Picture of you typing,
Yes.
picking your nose in the flu.
Yes, we're going to-
They do mention it's a fine line.
All right.
So if you go that far, you might not get any dates.
Okay.
This is the problem with Match.com.
Supposedly then people can be too pretty. Can you say they can be too smart as well?
I'm told they can be too smart. There was a guy who was too intelligent. What was his problem? I'm trying to remember. I've lost my notes. One moment, please.
There you go.
This guy, he was too intelligent because he was getting these unbidden feelings of anxiety and horror within his life, and he was convinced he had a terminal disease. So if you're getting anxiety, you're obviously convinced you have a
That
terminal
doesn't sound
disease.
intelligent to me. That
It
sounds
doesn't sound
hypochondriac or, it sounds paranoia.
Well, his
I'm not
counsellor...
going to diagnose him. He's not here.
So his psychologist recognised that he was a hypochondriac.
Yes.
But that was not going to help. Telling him he's a hypochondriac wasn't going to help.
Okay.
So what they worked out was also he was too smart for therapy. Too intelligent for therapy.
No, this guy sounds like a wanker. Like,
Too-
seriously.
That might have part of the reason
I'm
he was
too
so
smart for this.
No, he didn't say that. He was told. His psychologist said he was too smart for therapy because most therapies, cognitive behavioural therapy, you're doing it, CBT,
Okay.
means think your way out of your troubles. So this guy, that's what it really means, I mean roughly speaking. So this guy apparently was too clever to think his way out of his problems because he could rationalise anything. So he was too intelligent to get healthy.
So he's thinking his
psychologically.
way back into the problem.
He could
Like
rationalise
he was-
anything.
But why didn't he rationalise himself into
Didn't
being
work.
help?
He didn't.
If he's that smart that he can ruin
He's
the
mentally
therapy.
unwell. He's
Yeah, look,
mentally
I
unwell.
don't know if he's actually that smart.
I
mean, he might have written this blog post himself. I am too smart for this. And he was saying,
It actually
and all
does
these
mention
women
that
on
down the
Tinder,
bottom.
I am far too smart for them too.
He was a grinder again, we don't want to get into it. But we want to get further than this. We don't want to just talk to you about our stuff because you can read the internet too. I'm sure some of you do. We're going to talk to some guests instead. Anyone interested in guests? Not really.
Okay, who are we talking to?
I don't know. No, I have a few ideas. We're going to talk to Dr. Samantha Solon-Biet, and she's a postdoctoral research fellow at the Charles Perkins Centre. She specialises in nutritional physiology. What does that mean? She's going to help us live forever.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
Then we turn to Garth Lamb, and Garth is from the Regroup, who actually have the biggest waste processing facility in the Southern Hemisphere. They deal with all of your trash.
Yeah, if you live in Sydney, Garth knows what you put down the toilet, basically.
No, that's toilet, in your bin.
In your bin, the toilet.
They're different things in my house.
Where do you live?
I got a whole range of different, I separate my plastics and
Plastics, paper, cover. We'll talk to Garth about that. We've got Melanie Bale-Smith. She's the director of, I don't know how to pronounce it, Beale. It's a very cool name. Beale Architecture. Bale! Who are you?
Is there a name?
She's also an adjunct professor.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Is that how you pronounce adjunct? Adjunct professor in the University of Technology of Sydney Architecture School.
And finally, we have Father Rod Bauer, meddlesome priest and kind of think he's de facto spiritual advisor.
As an atheist, you can't ask for better than an Anglican spiritual advisor, and so that's what we do with
So is Dr. Samantha out there in the room? Please, bang your hands
Please
together and
welcome
welcome her
her.
to the table. Keep clapping while she walks up. So
Yeah.
a long walk. We're very gratified to have this long room.
Have a few. We have to be nice to Samantha. She's had laryngitis all week. So everyone crane forward and listen carefully.
No, the microphone is going to solve that problem. Samantha,
Yeah, I think that works fine. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, Samantha. So what do you do? Where are you from again? Charles Perkins Institute?
Yeah, the University of Sydney.
And you do what?
What? That's a good question.
In great detail.
In great detail. I essentially look for ways to, in animal models, to extend the health span and lifespan without the use of drugs or genetic intervention. So mostly I look at how we can use nutrition to extend health and lifespan.
So,
yeah.
okay, without making me feel guilty about what I already eat, I'm going to live forever, aren't I? I can just tell you what I eat and you'll just say that's great? Or are you going to critique me?
I'll just say that's great.
That's what I need to hear. I don't want to know the truth. Okay, so let's put it all straight down on the table. What makes you live forever?
Well, from our studies, which is mainly done in mice, what we found is that actually mice that ate a lower protein, high carbohydrate diet ended up living 30% longer
Oh,
than
you
those
serious?
in a high
So
protein
less meat,
diet.
more Mars bars?
And not exactly, not processed sugars or processed carbohydrates. It was most of the carbohydrates in these diets were from starches, so rather than sugar.
So help us out, I'm not very good at science. What do you mean, like potatoes?
Yeah, sure. So potatoes, usually things that are less digestible, so like fibrous carbohydrates like brown rice or
So you want stuff that's going to sit in there for a while?
Or
and-
slip right
Yeah.
through you, that's what
yeah.
slip
So
right
the
through.
more, the more fibrous it is, the harder your body needs to work to actually,
That's reducing your lifespan?
That's increasing your lifespan.
Oh, increasing your
Yeah,
lifespan.
yeah.
There you go. That's why I was confused. There we
So
go.
it was really interesting because we always think that we need to eat high protein diets to lose weight and be leaner, fitter, and that's true. Our animals
What's the
that
main
were
answer problem?
the animals that were on a high protein diet, 60% protein, they were leaner. They had so much more muscle mass, less body fat, but in the end, they just had worse health long term.
But they're like Princess Diana. Like they're blazing, having a fast life, doing it all, and then
Like a candle in the wind.
like a candle in the wind. Yeah.
A mouse in the wind.
Exactly. And they live fast, and then they die young. So maybe that's better.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, it depends. If you do want to live long, be a bit fat, but have a long, healthy life, or do you want to go guns blazing? And who says you can't have both?
Oh, I want both.
So, Becky, you're right, I can live long if I'm a bit fat.
yeah, absolutely. In fact,
This might be the best night of my life.
It's not a diagnosis.
It's not exactly.
It's an endorsement, this is fantastic.
A lot of the studies, not only in animals but in humans, a lot of the animals or the studies that we find that have excess body fat, they are without all the diseases of metabolic syndrome, so diabetes, hypertension, all of that kind of stuff. So if you can get to that stage without having this kind of metabolic decline, then you're on a good track.
So you're telling me if I don't get sick with something that will make me die, I won't die?
Yeah, well that's the thing, right? 'Cause
I think I knew that.
Yeah, don't we all know that? 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mainly study aging, right? So how to kind of delay aging through nutrition. And the problem with aging is that
It's all a
aging is
problem.
a risk factor for disease. As you age, diseases come on. It's not, that's just the number one risk factor. So if we can delay aging through nutrition by having a low protein, high carbohydrate diet, then we delay the onset of disease.
Aside from your research, how are we going with the whole aging thing? Like science in general, are we, getting
we
better?
gotten rid of it
Have we
yet?
gotten rid of it? Are we?
Gotten rid of aging?
Yeah, I want to hear that. Yeah, I know you're going to say no.
No, I don't think we've gotten rid of aging.
Are we going to?
No, I don't think so, but
Oh.
we might get better at delaying it.
Or how far do you reckon? Like, what do you say?
Well,
Are we going to
let
get
me give you this
to? I want to
very-
live 312 or so years.
Why?
Like that's a.
Why?
When do you want to
Do you
die?
want to live that long? Do you want to be healthy for that long? I don't think that's possible.
I want to be healthy.
Yeah, don't we all?
I think it's
But
not possible. It's from what you're saying, it's not possible to
to live for 300 years?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
What do you reckon?
because-
What do you reckon is the ultimate? Like when science has gone like gung ho.
Well,
Like
for now, there's centenarians that live above 100, and there's super centenarians that are about 120 years old.
I'm 20.
Yeah, I think.
Do you meet these people?
I don't think.
and then you get to vary their diet and see.
Surprisingly.
You're right, not my fault, it was old.
What got you here?
surprisingly, these centenarians actually don't follow a strict diet. A lot of them, have a shot of whiskey every night. And
Tick.
yeah, but what I wanted to
But
say
they stop
is
at
that,
wine.
is that going back to your kind of alcohol thing that you were talking about.
It's not mine, it's everyone's.
It's everyone's. So have you guys heard of resveratrol?
Yes.
So it's found in red wine. It's a compound found in red wine. So they say have red wine every night. A glass of red wine is good for you. Contains resveratrol.
But you need 50 litres, don't you?
That's the thing. So
Sorry, we're in the
you need to
punchline.
drink like 25 bottles of wine to have the beneficial effects of resveratrol. But what drug companies have done, in fact, is actually isolate that compound resveratrol. You can take it as a pill. So I know a lot of the.
And that's available now?
Yeah, it's available.
But you don't get the
Out of
pleasurable
curiosity,
effects.
where?
No, you don't get the.
No, but surely there is some of the pleasurable effects of wine. Like
No, there's not. No.
What?
There's not. It's just like taking a vitamin.
So you can take as many resveratrols as you want and go for a drive and you'll be sweet.
And you'll be fine. You'll go zero on the alcohol.
And
you'll
you'll
be
be 120 at least. Am I misrepresenting that?
let's just say that the evidence points to living a healthier, longer life.
So what's the length that you reckon we'll eventually get to?
As a
No pressure.
population? That's really difficult because
Do you reckon,
No,
do you reckon we'll tap out? Like we'll get to a point
Just us.
and all humans will die? Or do you reckon we'll get to the year 2500 and we've killed death? Like, okay, people might be stabbed to death, but
Yeah.
aside from that,
The only thing left is
like, bear
knives.
with me here, I'll get there in the end. But other than that, you can just sort of keep going. Like Doctor Who, you can go for it.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
You don't think
I'm
that's
sorry,
gonna-
no.
Oh.
I don't.
I'm so looking forward to talking to you.
I was really. It's just around the corner. We just need a few more dollars from the NHMRC,
Yeah.
and then we'll go.
Few more
But
dollars.
you do hear these. You hear these things from a lot of the pop science journals, Wired and things like that.
Nature.
But you hear this idea that we're not that far off. That we'll develop better and better science. That maybe we'll get out to be hundreds and hundreds of years old. But
Are they full of shit? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I don't know about these. Yeah.
Is that
I
an old
don't know
person?
what articles you're reading. I haven't read those articles, but I think it's pretty far-fetched to say we'll live hundreds and hundreds of years old. I mean, our cells grow old, they senesce, they die.
Yeah.
I mean, we can delay that, but to say 300 or hundreds and hundreds is
Can I ask
quite
why?
far-fetched.
So do you think we can get like the child born today might live to 130 or 40 comfortably?
I think
I think
it's like
that's pushing it
85.
as
Is it,
well.
that's
I mean,
pushing it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pushing it. I mean, at the moment, we'd be lucky if we're all living till 85 or 90 at the moment.
Only another 10 years to go.
Let me give you this perspective.
11, you bastard! It's months to my birthday.
A lot of it, I think, can be influenced by what you eat. So, for example, one of the longest living populations in the world were the Okinawans in Japan. So they were living like about 100 years old, and when they analyzed their diets, these guys really ate just plant-based diet, so relatively low in proteins, high in carbohydrates. This kind of fueled all the research that, maybe low proteins are good for you. But now, Okinawans are actually living at the same age as most people. And when they reanalyze their diet, the introduction of all these kinds of
McDonald's.
food, all these things
There
that
goes
we
that
see more
sponsorship.
now,
That was worth a shot.
has actually contributed to reducing their life expectancy.
So what I'm hearing
So they're
is
having
85
reducing
is
life
it.
expectancy.
Yeah, so
So
it's much
everywhere else in the
lower
world
now
we're
than it
living
was
longer.
20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
So what we've managed to do is work out what makes some people live longer and fuck that up.
Yeah.
Is that science or is that McDonald's?
It's not.
It's kinda tasty.
It's marketing. It's
It's
everything.
It's marketing.
It's
convenience at the time.
convenience.
It's convenient to live
Affordability.
for.
Look, living for a long time is not that convenient. You got
I'm
to.
prepared to accept the inconvenience. Like, if
Are you really?
I'm okay
Are
with
you
that.
really?
Yeah.
Are you really prepared to?
There'll be
accept-
young people to look after me.
I don't believe it.
I see, none here. But there'll be some elsewhere. It's going to be fine. So what then, 85 healthy, that's like your holy grail?
What do you mean by holy grail? Like that's your goal?
Is that what you're thinking is a good thing to aim for? We can be 85 and healthy and then drop dead?
Look, I think we need to aim for being healthy for as long as we can. Lifespan is just is the end point, right? But what's the point of having a long lifespan if you've got poor health span? Like if you're sick and you can't do anything on your own, what's the point really?
Well, it's like superannuation
Yeah.
to pay for your sleep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is one thing you like. So I mentioned earlier that in our studies that the mice on the higher protein diets live shorter but were leaner. But they actually had better reproductive function.
So they're having more
So,
sex.
well, yeah,
So
they're
they're leaner.
Yeah,
they're
but
having
more
yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you live longer and you've got 800 children.
So testosterone levels were increased in males and in females. They kept them ovulating even though they were old.
Oh.
So on a high protein diet. So I mean, is this a potential kind of intervention for?
You make a choice.
Yeah, but who's to say that you can't have a high protein diet when you're in your reproductive prime, and then when you pass that stage, switch to a lower protein, high carbohydrate diet to actually prolong that longevity a bit. I mean.
So you're time for the high carbs.
Yeah, no, I got to switch out. So,
Yeah. You got kids.
Switch out of the. I've done the protein bit.
Bag of sugar for you. And he'll live healthily till 85.
Maybe longer, maybe
What-
300.
What do you
Yeah, there
think?
you go.
What do you think is the biggest problem then for you? What's the thing you'd love to be able to solve tomorrow, like for your work? If only you could just fix X. Is there one particular thing, or you could sort out a particular part of your research to make our lifespans better?
My particular research at the moment is looking at what exactly in protein, so which amino acids contribute to the pathways that are pro-aging. It all works because you either have a pathway, a biological pathway that's anti-aging or pro-aging,
Yep.
and we think that high proteins activate this pro-aging pathway, and I want to figure out exactly what amino acids turn on this pro-aging pathway.
And if you find that out, could you sort of flick a switch and turn it off, or just tell us to eat better?
Well, you can eat better, but then you can look at other interventions. But the thing is, would you rather do a nutritional intervention or take drugs?
I take the drugs. Like,
Yeah, well, that's-
if there's the
that's
switch.
quick.
Like
That's
I
the
like
problem.
my bad nutrition.
At least you thought about it. That's what's important.
I was really hoping. I don't want to.
Burger in one hand, handful of resveratrol in the other.
Even it out. Why not?
Yeah, you know, I like my food. I want to.
So doing your work, do you go home every night and just look in your fridge and go, that's evil, that's going to kill me, I've got to get rid of that, I've got to eat more
You know,
of
it
these.
messes me up.
I bet.
Because when I'm like, I really want that Nutella-filled donut.
Yeah.
I really do.
Did you bring any?
I didn't.
And you look at a Nutella-filled donut and you go, that's a week. Like I can see that. That's 1 week off my life.
That's 1 week. Let me do 300.
That's
burpees.
September the
So
9th
it's
to
like,
September the 2nd. I'm.
Yeah. It's tough. I do think about everything I eat, but that doesn't stop me from eating everything I don't. I mean, I want to eat, so yeah.
So,
I had the Nutella donut a couple of days ago, so.
I didn't want to say anything, you look very well. Do you think that's why you lost your voice?
No. I've lost my voice. This is my 4th week, so I'm much better
Fourth week?
today. Yeah.
So, of
Losing my voice.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. I don't.
That's the
No,
fourth week.
what?
We can finally hear her.
Yeah.
I blame the Nutella donut. So what keep you living longer, at least till 85, vaguely healthy?
So it's pretty conservative to say a diet relatively low to moderate in protein and high in
Give
lots
us
of
foods I
fat.
like, so just kale and potatoes.
No, kale, potatoes, sure you can add that to the list, but anything that's like meat, obviously eat meat.
Sweet.
You can have fats, butter, eat some butter, you know.
Butter makes you live longer.
It's
Okay,
getting better.
I'm already
It needs
living
to-
longer.
It needs to be pretty balanced. So it's really
So you
boring
balance out
to
a kilo
say
of butter with
balance
a
out
kilo of
what
meat?
you eat. Sure. I think that would put you on the path of the shorter lifespan.
But leaner.
Huh?
But leaner.
But leaner and more reproductive.
Now I'm confused. I thought, and more
Yeah,
reproductive.
more reproductively active.
I know what I'm having for dinner. That's good.
So clinical.
Yeah.
So we should eat kale, we should eat potatoes, we should eat butter, and we should eat meat, and drink, was it 25 bottles of red wine a night?
Yeah. Or take resveratrol tablets, which is probably the best.
Available in a pharmacy
best
near
way.
you.
Yes, I think it's available in most.
Do you need a
most
prescription?
pharmacies. No, it's not. It's not FDA. It's a supplement. It's not
Right.
like a. It was definitely not FDA approved, so it's still one of these kind of.
The Cowboys are selling it, but that's okay. Trust the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, not just the Cowboys. There are pharmacies that are selling it, but.
Do you take it?
I was.
You were,
Yeah.
And then you were.
And then I just got lazy.
Are they heavy pills?
This is going to be the thing that makes you live for, okay, not forever, but for longer. And
Yeah.
uh,
I like to think that I eat well and and exercise, so hopefully I'm on the right track.
Do you feel it's really ambiguous? Like that it's really, you've got this idea of general diets over a population of 1,000 people. You could say, okay, you have a diet like that, you're likely to live a bit longer. You have a diet like that, you'll live less long. But when it comes down to an individual person, there's so many other conflicting things.
Absolutely.
Who knows what else is going on with your genetics?
And even in a
else.
population, it's different because, like in animal studies, it's controlled environments. They eat what you give them. In human populations, it's so variable. That's why it's so difficult to do proper nutrition studies, longevity studies in humans. So I get that a lot. A lot of emails from papers were like, you need to do this longevity study in humans. Like, yeah.
But you're only going to live so long, so you can't.
Exactly, we're not going to. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it started already, but we're not going to know what the outcome is.
Do you get people asking you all the time, like these dumb questions, like we're asking how do you
give me the long-term results today.
I want to know how I live to 300.
Well, not that question. Only you've asked that question. But certainly how your study makes no sense because this is not in humans. So you need to see how diet affects longevity. Valid point, nice or not humans, we get that. But it's,
What do you reckon about crackpot theories in your field? Like Michael Jackson, he lived in
that... It's not a theory.
No, like in that barium tent or something like that, a special high oxygen or something like that. He wanted to live to 200 and he thought that high oxygen environment would help him do that. And
taking a lethal amount of drugs gets in the way.
He's almost 200. But are there people doing these types of things all over the place?
Well, I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't be surprised. But I know that there are people that really do what they call chronic caloric restriction. Have you heard of that? Yeah. So it's
I've seen pictures of people from the 70s lying on beds and they look horribly ill, like a gaunt Jesus, and they only move their fingers that much to type. And that was the poster child for chronic calorie restriction.
Is that a joke?
No, that's it. That was from the 70s. That's what they do. And these dudes are, we're going to live forever.
Yeah. So for
that don't work out for them.
I think they're dead. They look like they were living dead. They look like zombies. It was horrible. You're not advocating that.
Well, no. The thing is, caloric restriction has been around for 80 years, and it's been shown that if you reduce the total amount of calories that you eat, anywhere between 20 and 60%, without being malnourished, then you can actually extend your lifespan. So our main study was really looking at, is it really calories, or can you eat the same amount of calories, but just change the protein and carbohydrate and fat in your diet and live the same? And sure enough, our study was like, if you eat the same amount of calories, but you eat a low protein, high carbohydrate diet, you can have the same beneficial effects on longevity. So isn't that easier than saying you can only eat half of that, as opposed to you can change the balance of the food on your plate? So
I'm going to say yes. That sounds easier.
It sounds easier, absolutely.
I'm still up with the drugs though, I think.
And that's even easier.
Yes.
But at the same time, there's
unless you're too lazy. There's big heavy pills.
He is too lazy to take the drugs. I just can't do that. Please, at this moment, we've got to thank Dr. Samantha Solomon. Please. Dr. Sam, please, take one of these top. You can't buy that anywhere except for the internet.
It's better than money.
Literally, you could sell that for millions and millions.
Look, I thought I was going to be happier after that. But
I really thought I was going to. I thought that I was going to get. All you need to do this, and we're going to turn the corner. We'll get to 300 very soon.
Did anyone think that? Did you come here to learn how to live forever? Because sorry, we didn't mean to mislead
but
you.
But who here has that little thought that okay, maybe science is going to come through for me, and we'll be able to live to 300.
I still want to believe it. I'm going to go with the classic theory, which is believe what you want, and if someone gives you contrary evidence, don't believe it. Just believe the stuff that supports it. I'm going to go with resveratrol.
Okay.
And butter.
Okay. We've talked about excess life.
We have.
What are we talking about next?
We're going to talk about excess waste. Well, waste is pretty much excess by definition, isn't it?
Whoa.
Isn't it? Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
Let's just stop now.
Seriously.
We're going to meditate. It's going to be 5 seconds silence.
Just have a hum on that one.
We're going to talk to Garth Lamb, aren't we? We're going to talk to Garth Lamb.
Okay. I'm going to start here with Garth's bio. As you clap him in, please welcome him aboard. Garth Lamb started off his career, I don't know if he started his career, but was editor of Inside Waste magazine.
Yep.
Any subscribers? Mine just got cancelled.
There was one hand.
Did I see a hand?
Yeah, down the back, and that's a serious hand. We've got a subscriber to Inside Waste magazine. Look, maybe it's every other person in Australia.
Is it a physical magazine? That sounds wasteful. It should be electronic.
Do you have like a row of them, like the 80s houses, like with all the National Geographic
She
ones
does.
on the bottom of the shelf?
That deserves
All the
a
yellow-
prize.
The Inside Waste.
I think,
Okay.
I think do you want a prize for that? I think the only subscriber to Inside
Inside
Waste
Waste magazine. Come up and get a prize.
It's a long walk, but congratulations.
Garth.
Now, Garth didn't only do that, did he?
Well, no, he did.
Scotland.
Then I'd hired Consulting's Australian Waste Team, where he provides strategic waste advice to all levels of government. I think there's a pun in there. Thank you very much, Inside Waste. Don't throw that out. That is worth literally.
It starts with the government, doesn't it? 9/10 of government is waste. Is that part of the advice?
No, surprisingly enough, they paid the bills. That wasn't part of the advice.
That's
Really,
quite clever.
throw yourselves in the bin. You can't put that on your advice.
That's who paying for it. So what else? You specialise now with Regroup, and Regroup runs. Did we build that wrong? The biggest recycling facility in the Southern Hemisphere.
No, so that's actually run by Global Renewables, but Regroup, that's the same field we work in. We spend a lot of time out at Global Renewables, but it is the biggest recycling facility in the Southern Hemisphere, or the biggest mixed waste recycling facility.
What does big mean?
Processes 220,000 tonnes per annum of Sydney household waste. So this is the red bin mixed waste, not traditional recycling.
Yeah.
But
so what's in that? Because for the 3 people from Canberra, what goes in that bin?
everything that doesn't go in your yellow recycling bin or your green organics bin.
So for you, it's
the
your poo.
crap.
Yeah, my bag of poo.
Yeah, but
And
nappies.
my nappies.
Yeah.
Anything.
5% of the city waste stream nappies, and you think about there's not
Look,
that
I'm
many
sorry.
people with kids in nappies, and you think that's a really big part of the overall waste.
But the kids who use nappies really use nappies.
You can't reuse them very much.
Today, son, this is your nappy. Tomorrow I'll come back with another one.
I'm stapling this one on. It doesn't work like that.
So what do you actually do with this? You oversee, you say put that over there and that over here. Like, what's your?
No. When you're playing with the red bin, you keep your hands out of it as much as you can. So it's a fairly,
So it's not a legion of Oompa Loompas just diving into the bin to see what they can find.
No, it's a fairly automated process. There are you need to have some manual work in there. There's some things that you just can't do anything other than have people out. Gas bottles is a classic. It's a big problem. But
People throwing gas bottles out.
yeah, but you think about in the rest of the facility is a big mechanical plant with shredders and trommels and all sorts of things.
What's a trommel?
I'm not seeing any problems
Trommel's a
here.
big round thing that goes around and around, separates material by size.
Mashes crap and throws it
Yeah,
in different
so
places.
really what
Are
we
you
do.
got a mic? I didn't hear your mic.
I was very quiet. I get embarrassed about waste.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
fair enough. People should be embarrassed about waste.
You had that from an expert.
Yeah.
So you got the the trommels and the mashes and the gouges.
It's huge. This thing takes up 3 hectares. It's a
So
big
instead of okay, so traditionally I thought your waste bin, your recycle bin, sure, we're gonna turn that into other things.
Yep.
Again, the waste bin we put that in a hole in the ground because we don't like holes, and we fill them up to the surface and flatten it off. And
Holes are the devil.
Look, there are some materials that they have no higher purpose in life than filling holes. Asbestos is a great example. You don't want to do anything with asbestos other than fill up a hole with it. And,
Yep.
Is that why it was invented?
That's why it was invented. But, there are materials like that.
But you
that have no
guys
higher
are
purpose.
turning the rubbish bin, like the
Yeah.
rubbish into recycling a whole lot of that.
Yeah. So this isn't crazy futuristic stuff. This facility, the Global Renewables facility, has been operating for 10 years. So been out there, and so of what comes in, so you get 220,000 tonnes that you're processing. 65% of that gets recovered, doesn't end up in landfill.
So I can feel less guilty about throwing rubbish in rubbish.
Well, you definitely can't because you live in Canberra.
Oh.
But,
Maintain the guilt, Cameron.
less than 20% of people in this room, assuming everyone else here is Sydneyites, less than 20% of people can feel less guilty because that's about the number of councils that send it to a red bin, to a mixed waste processing facility.
Yep.
And I heard, I don't know if I got this right, but I thought I saw a photograph of this facility, and it basically looks like the large and small intestine. Like this huge coiled treadmill, what do you call it? Conveyor belt of junk being moved in coils and circles like this and moving through.
It's a pretty complicated process.
And it's really, really long.
Yeah, so the big long part is the big composting hall. So the main product that comes out is a composted product. So all the organic. So you look at your average red bin, about 60% of that is organic material. And
Nappies?
Nappies are part of that. Well, what's in the nappies is part of that. But, but no, food waste is a
Who
big
separates that out?
that goes
Have you got a flock of people going?
No. No, surprisingly no. But
There's a robot doing that. It's a really fast robot. It can flick them one after the other.
But the people who do get their hands in there, they're sitting in front of a conveyor belt that's moving at 50 tonne an hour. So that's 5 garbage trucks an hour coming past them.
What does that look like? Is that or faster? I mean,
That's not much of a ton. Like
that's 1 tonne.
You need more than
one.
one.
About this wide, and it's moving at the speed that you've got to get used to it. I'd love to be on that line, but I'm not allowed because I get dizzy when I look at it moving.
Put this guy in management.
Just get in the zone.
That's why I get to wear a suit. Because I
can't use his hands. Let's get him control.
Just grabbing random stuff.
Did you actually pass out when you were doing it? Did you get dizzy? You get epileptic sort of fits?
No, but it's
you jump into the belt.
It's hard not to focus on the things. Like it's amazing just seeing what people throw out. Like it's fascinating. I think everyone who goes out there finds it fascinating. But you look at the stuff that goes.
Oh no, you can't stop there. What? What's fascinating?
When you
don't be afraid, no one's watching.
I guess when you're used to the common waste, and there's no such thing as common waste, but the really bizarre things are what gets people excited. But
so, for example, just give us 6 or 7.
I did a quick roundup with some of the people who work out there, and big bag of cash was the first one that came up. That
Who gets that?
Yeah, someone got a 20 grand suitcase of cash, but
and you composted that.
Plastic money, man. It can't. I know a thing or two about composting.
So you torch that bloody thing.
Yeah, speaking of composting, lots of big bags of drugs, so you get a lot of pot come through.
Hang on. Sorry, wait. I want to know what happened to the cash. Like, does the
what happened to the pot?
Okay, we'll find out about that in a second. Does the machine that grabbed that get to keep it?
No, unfortunately, it went back to the police to find out why the hell someone might have thrown out 20 grand.
Maybe they just had too much.
Someone
they went to the ATM and they put the they thought it was the sense button. They put too many times.
But so is it like an African coal mine then? So when people come off the sorting trolley, they get a cavity search in case there's 20 grand somewhere there shouldn't be?
No.
Surely you could kind of.
It's not that common.
You can't jump at the 20 grand?
There are other weird things, like interaction with the police, since you've started me on that, but murder weapons. People throw murder weapons in the bin when they're trying to get away with things. But there's one example.
Do they get traced back? I mean, that sounds. Once it's at your facility, I'm sure it's pretty hard to work out which house it came from.
Well, okay. So there was an example where there was a stabbing in a Westville mall, where there was the police picked up the CCTV footage pretty quickly. They've seen the perpetrator drop the weapon in the bin. And they've gone, right, we'll go and get the weapon, and that'll be great evidence. And they got there and went, okay, someone's collected the bin.
Yep.
Who collected the bin? Where did that go? And then turn up out there. But you're talking about there's 1,000 tonne of garbage sitting on the floor. It takes there's a lot of trucks a day come through there, and you have to sort through.
So the police contact you and say, please look for a knife, or they wait and see what turns up?
The problem is waste doesn't turn off. No, they came and did a big thorough search, but it's.
They searched.
Yeah. So the police are going through compost hall looking for the knife. Or?
Well, it was at the front. It hadn't gone through the facility yet. But
here it is.
You can't turn off the facility. Like waste doesn't stop. You can't just say, we're not going to pick up the red bins today.
Of course not.
Like
okay, that's a good thing. What happens if it does stop? What if something breaks down? What do? You just watch it mount up to the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, you spend a lot of time making sure that it's available a lot of the time.
So it just doesn't break?
No, I mean, I think 90% availability is the benchmark.
So do you get a shit storm? Like if something breaks? What's the longest? That's not a pun, that's literal. What happens? What's the longest something's broken for, if you're allowed to tell us? Again, we'll turn off the recording.
There was a major issue out there a few years ago. There was half the plant burnt down, which was a fairly significant problem.
It's a significant problem. We've got half a plant.
Look, it takes a keen eye, but someone's.
You got the work experience kid. I think we got a problem there.
So 25% you can cope with, but half the plant.
Yeah, that's all right. There was a problem, but these things happen.
But so what do you do?
Yeah, whatever.
So you just put out you say to Sydney, stop wasting for a while.
No, I mean you'd be in strife if you only had one option. But
right.
there's multiple options. You look, and again that facility processes about 15% of Sydney's household waste. So there's still a lot of other options out there.
Right.
Some of them.
So you call up a mate in the industry and go, half our plants burned down, not too much trouble.
But we see this in other countries. They've had garbage man strikes. garbage person strikes.
Yeah.
And
Garbage officers.
yeah, garbage officers. How quickly does your city turn to shit? Like,
I mean, yeah.
Turn to, I'm from Canberra. No, Canberra,
So
sorry.
honestly, the big difference is the weather. You know, that'd be fine if you're in Norway and it was, you know, in the middle of winter, you'd probably go, okay, it's
Nice
fine,
hot summer, it's all back in.
Yeah.
we'll have some
but
piles
Sydney-
of stinking garbage just to warm
That's
the
it.
place up a little bit.
Do you get more waste in summer or winter?
Composition changes, so you get a little more garden organics, for example, in the bin in summer. But the composition is it's freaky what makes that change. One of my favourite stories from this week was after the Steve Irwin death issue.
Yeah.
Huge increase in stingrays coming through the facility.
Oh no.
Presumably,
Hey.
a bunch of fishermen out there
Are they-
used to catch and release, and then went
Not like
down. You
people
killed
throwing
Steve.
away their pets.
No.
Are they,
Like, sorry,
are
fluffy.
they like taxonomy stingrays? Like they're
No.
or they're
There's it's
Semi-live.
in someone's red bin, and, you know. Yeah, but yeah, it's bizarre. But those
Did
sort of
anyone here
things-
thro out their stingray after Steve Irwin's death?
Don't be ashamed, you're among friends. What if we offer a prize? No, cowards. Seriously, stingrays. What's
But
the
could you really
substantial
hold on
increase?
to
Not
a
a
stingray
significant
after
part of
Steve
the
Irwin died?
I bought more stingrays. I was in Singapore the night before
Seriously?
Steve Irwin was killed. I was eating stingray in Singapore with someone in the audience. I'd never had stingray before. The next day we got in a cab and the cab driver goes, "Where are you from?" Australia. And he said, "I'm sorry." And we
You
didn't know
killed
why.
Steve Irwin.
I killed Steve Irwin.
Like this is a
I got the
species,
stingrays
species-
angry.
and this is why people are throwing them out. They're like, I don't want to be part of that.
They're
gang.
delicious.
I don't
You
want to
should
be
not
part of
throw
that
out
anymore.
Next time we go through the facility, I'll let you know.
Yeah, please.
So I assume we've brought the stingray throwouts back down to the nominal level of a few a week or so.
Hey, what's an
I think
increase
it's
from
dropped off.
2 to 4?
Yeah,
And who keeps
We got
these
another
counts?
stingray.
it's one of those. Yeah, there's obvious changes in the waste stream around seasonality, and but yeah, really over the last it's been operating for 10 years. But you look at the overall composition of waste, it's so much more packaging waste. Like, even in that short time, and you
So
look
it's
at,
going up.
Oh, massively.
Packaging's going up. Well done.
Nationally, you look at waste generation, and over the last 4 Australian government reports, it's increased about 10%. So
Wow.
50 million tonne per annum of waste generated. In
But that's way
Australia.
faster than population.
Yeah.
So
No, it's driven by it's a population and also consumption patterns. So
Right.
when you're projecting how much waste we're going to have in the future, it's
I thought we've been working on all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Use the green bags and
Yeah.
reduce your packaging, and we've been going backwards in that time.
we've been trying, but yeah, we're going back. So maybe we'd be getting much worse, much faster if we weren't trying. But it's certainly not.
Yeah. I love that in the government report. We'd be getting much worse, much faster if it wasn't for
But at least we're
I
trying.
want to see like Prime Minister stand up and say those stats.
That's a
Parliament.
12 flag kind of meeting.
Much worse, much faster if it wasn't for us.
On that trend rate, so you're sitting at 50 million tonnes currently. You're looking at 70 million tonnes in the next 10 years. Like it's really rapid.
Is the waste processing world looking at that as a gold mine coming through? It's like you see that as more, and you can get more stuff out of it and sell more, or paid by the councils.
I think you trace back the history of waste management, and it started as a public health issue. We don't want garbage rotting in the streets like it does when people go on strike. And what do you do with it? Well, quick, let's go bury it in a hole that's sort of further away from it. But you look at it now that it's just such a waste of resources. So when you're talking about is waste by definition of waste, I think no, it's a resource, and you look at that material that's okay, it's not wanted by whoever put it in the bin, but what can you do with it? Is there a higher purpose for that material than filling a hole in the ground?
I kind of feel like the broken hill of the future, or the Mount Isa of the future, has got to be
Look at the
digging through our bins
Kudapedi. Just fill up all the holes in Kudapedi.
and making it into
You jest, but seriously, you look at the concentration of metals in a landfill is much higher than any commercial.
way more gold than
Yeah, absolutely.
Extractable?
It's pretty dirty work, but yeah, it's there. So one day,
mining's
absolutely,
never
landfill
clean
mining-
work. It's not like they're
Landfill mining will absolutely be a thing in the future. If you lived at 300, you would definitely see it. But, if you're only at 85.
So here's what I'm learning. I'm going to get into the landfill mining in the future.
Yeah.
250 and you can become a miner. Enjoy. Some of it all changes.
Finally.
Metals are easy enough, though. They don't do anything when they're in the landfill. Maybe they'll leach out a few
Lead.
toxic chemicals. But
I'm not an expert, but
it's
I
still
heard
organic
lead.
materials. It's the bigger problem. The stuff that rots. That's the stuff that produces gas. And so landfills, again, about 2 to 3% of Australia's national greenhouse gas emissions come from landfills.
Yep.
Rotting garbage in there. So that's the material that's...
So are we in general, I mean, aside from the amount of waste that we're throwing out, that's getting worse, but are we getting better at processing it?
Yes.
Are we taking more value back into society and out of the landfill process?
We're not doing it as quickly. So you look at some areas. I guess we've taken the easy wins. So of that 55 million tonnes of waste generated annually, only about 40% goes into landfill currently. So there's 60% of it is being recovered. But it's the easy stuff that we're attacking.
The recyclable plastics and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, the easier things are really heavy and homogeneous concrete and
of course,
and things that are easy. Magnets work, so pulling out metal is pretty easy. That stuff's relatively easy. That's all well established. But then you look at the harder stuff, mixed garbage. That's bloody hard work, and that's why there's 10 facilities in Australia.
So
8 facilities in Australia.
why is it hard? And what are you're trying to get value out of that? What's hard and what do you want to achieve?
What's hard is just getting the critical mass to establish a facility. It's a big investment. You're talking about it's a large investment.
So theoretically, if you throw a bunch of physicists and engineers at a bin, they'd be able to extract everything.
I'd like to try that right now.
Yes. Get in the bin. No, don't get in the bin.
The challenge isn't recovering. It's recovering it commercially.
Yeah, of course.
Is it worth money? Like you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Here's the one that found 50 grand
depends
bag.
which state you're in though. Like so in New South Wales.
Now you're in this state, so you're doing all right.
That's right. New South Wales is definitely the best place to be if you want to recover resources.
But I hear there's a
Don't
growth
go
opportunity in the ACT because we don't recycle much. Wasn't that what you were saying? So maybe.
So you guys are actually really good recyclers. So here's another complicated little world that we live in. But so ACT really high recycling rate. You and the South Australians have the highest recycling rates.
They pay 5 cents a bottle though.
Yeah, but then you look at Tasmania, terrible recycling rate, and you go, oh, obviously ACT is better. But then you look at it and you go, well, Canberrans generate more waste, massively more waste than anyone else.
That's because we like recycling.
Yeah. That's right. Like we go through the shop and we're like, I bought enough stuff, but I need to recycle.
I've only got 3 bottles.
That's exactly
I need some more.
So what's better? So the Tasmanians who aren't as wasteful and don't throw as much out, but what they do throw out all ends up in a hole. Or Canberrans who throw out truckloads, but
recycle truckloads.
But it's a complicated area.
So it's a growth industry.
Look, it's not growing as fast as it should be. So this, like I say, it's been established for 10 years. It's well and truly proven. It's well and truly commercially viable. It's just an inertia issue of making things happen. When you own a hole that's half full of garbage, you don't have much options as to what else you're going to do with it other than fill the rest of it up with garbage. So there's no plan B.
Housing.
No, but also, who's not been through that?
It's going to be 100 years until you can build a house on it. So
how big a hole are we talking?
Big holes?
Yeah, how big? We need a really big hole to have this problem? We're talking a giant hole, like a mining-sized hole?
Oh, look, there's definitely lots of old mines that, get transformed into landfills. That's a classic. There's one
That's
down
a
in
good use of them?
Yeah, and again, there are legitimately materials that have no higher purpose in life than filling a hole. There's just not many of them, and most of them have a better thing. You've got to manage these things as a resource. And there's leftover pizza that you're looking at. You go, well, is the best thing you can do? Throw it in a hole, or do we, make that into a compost product? And
do you reckon in the future, when I'm 300, that we will be recycling just about everything? That just about everything that comes in our people get recycled already.
But the whole that circular economy, we just can't afford to keep going with the model where we take things, use them once and then drop them in a hole. It doesn't work on so many levels.
So what then, if you could fix something now, what would you fix, or what would you change, or what would you make people do? Is there one big issue that you think is the biggest problem?
So you look at the recycling bin, in Australia that is really well established, and there's tweaks on that. You can go a slight improvement, reduce contamination.
Yep.
Garden organics is pretty well established. In Sydney, 90% of people have access to a green bin. The big opportunity, the big challenge is processing that red bin. It's processing that material and recovering what you can, recovering the resources.
So we can beef that up a bit. That would be the next big thing.
The next big thing is energy recovery. So if you look internationally at countries that have really high landfill diversion rates, a lot of that's they have energy recovery, energy from waste solutions. There's materials that, when I said that Global Renewables facility has 65% diversion, what's left once you take out all the compost you can and all the obvious recyclables, you end up with filmy plastics and textiles on the back end of that nappy, and it has, there's no material value left, but it still has an energy value. It's 85% of the energy content of coal, and you can replace it for fossil fuels.
Seriously, a nappy? 85% of the energy value of coal.
Someone should tell Tony because
I think so.
nappies are good for
He loves
humanity.
inefficient fuel, so he can just dive in on the
Nappies for India. I think that's his latest thing.
for
yeah.
humanity. We need to get the nappies again.
There's a big international trade in refuse-derived fuels.
Really?
Yeah, no,
So who are we selling our shit to?
No, you look at places with big energy demand, but there's big Asian cement kilns that require energy, and it's a lower emission, lower cost source of fuel. So it's a great alternative to fossil fuels.
So if you weren't doing garbage, what would you do if you weren't being a garbage guy? Nothing? I love garbage.
I feel pretty confident that I can have my whole career in garbage because I can't see any solution that means that it's all going to
Ain't
go
gonna
away.
stop.
There's always a reason to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd love to be out of a job because suddenly we have none, but no, it's every single person. It's a huge industry. People don't realise how big it's a victim of its own success. When everything works, no one sort of thinks about what happens next. But it's a $14 billion per annum sort of industry. It's huge.
So people only know you when you fuck up.
Yeah, and people know you very, very well when you miss their bin or.
Well, now 100 people and the 2,015 million people watching at home know you better.
And they can call Garth up if you ever miss the bit.
Yeah, if you want his number, it'll be on the website later. Just call him first.
There's a note of panic on his face right now. Please, everyone, thank Garth very much. Garth, hang on a second. You need a trophy.
Here's your payment.
Don't put that in your red bin.
No one gets that for free.
Well, maybe you can put it in the red bin and see when you can catch it later.
The police might want that later if they're not careful.
Have you ever thrown anything out like that? A murder weapon?
A murder weapon?
Or 20 grand in cash?
Both.
Just,
It was simultaneous. I think if I'm going to get done for something, I might as well chuck them all out together.
all right, that's been the first half. Thank you, everybody.
We're going to have a 20-minute break. You can go to the bathroom, you can chat with each other. Then we're going to come back and give you a chance to win even more fabulous prizes. Thank our guests.
Grab a
please,
beer,
once
grab a
more.
pizza. Thank you very much.
We missed you, so we thought we'd come back.
I missed you too.
I missed you.
Okay.
Where were you?
I don't know. Anyway.
We're gonna give you the opportunity to.
There we go, come on.
They're worth some dollars.
Literally some. Literally some.
All you cool people sitting down, no price for you.
So we'll ask a question, and we'll ask you to raise your hand in response to the question or keep your hand down. Those who get it right, stay standing. Those who get it wrong, sit down.
Sit the fuck down.
We'll whittle you down until
there's one-ish left.
if
If there's two or three, we'll work it out.
You just
work
get
it
a
out.
pile of prizes.
And people, you can play at home too, but we can't give you a prize, but we think you
We
can.
will give you prizes.
But we'll give you a prize.
Okay, practice
Right, yeah.
round.
Practice round. Okay, the first question. This is just a practice. How much money is enough? Okay, here are your options. All the money, left hand. Always 50% more than you have, right hand. Fuck money, it's evil, less is better. Just don't put any hands up, stay standing. A, all the money.
Left hand.
B, always 50% more than you have. C, fuck money, it's evil, less is better. Liars! Okay, you know how to play.
What was the correct one for that?
Always 50% more than you have is obviously the right answer.
Oh, wait, money. Money is evil. It's...
The internet said.
Oh, okay. All right, I changed
So you
my
seem
mind.
to have the
I
hang of
changed my
this.
mind. Okay, let's get started on this. Okay. Most fingers and toes.
Digit excess.
Akshat Saxena, born in 2010 with 34 fingers and toes. Was it A, 14 fingers and 20 toes? Or
That's
B,
left hand.
can anyone guess what B might be?
20 fingers and 14 toes.
There we go. Okay, so A, left hand is
14
fingers and 20 toes. And B, we'll keep your hands down, is 20 fingers and 14 toes. Correct answer is it was 14 fingers and 20 toes.
A, sit down if you're not A. They look confused. Wow.
Oh,
Great crowd.
look at that
This is going to be
sadness
too
in there.
easy.
Should we let them have a bonus round? They can stand back up. That thinned them out way too fast.
How did you guys not know about this
There was a
excess
complete
digit?
lack of gruntlement there. There was no gruntles.
Do we let half the people stand back up again?
Well, look, we've got enough questions. They can stand up. That can be their practice.
What's
Otherwise,
there?
they're going to mutter. I can hear muttering. Like it's like
Well, a lot of
mutter.
discontent. You're a surly crowd. I used to be a bouncer. I don't want any trouble from at least three of you. So what about the most gold-hungry nation for purchasing gold? Most gold-hungry nation. According to Bloomberg Business, you all keep up with Bloomberg Business? No? You got three options. Turkey, left hand. China, right hand. Russia, no hands. Turkey, left. China, right. Russia, keep your hands by your sides. Russia. Russia wins. Russia buys.
Seriously, what are we down to? Are we down to 3 already?
We're going to have to do this twice.
Well, we can play twice.
Russia buys 570.1 metric tons of gold over the last 10 years. Russia. You all thought it was America, didn't you? You would have thought America.
Okay. Now we're gonna because you've mentioned gold, we're gonna go with an excessive car. A car that's got a little bit too much gold in it. A Mercedes McLaren SLR that a mega wealthy guy in Switzerland kitted out, pimped up, turned up a little bit better. Got a team of 35 people working on it, spending 30,000 hours and over $5.5 million. How many kilos of gold dust went into the 25 layers of body paint? Was it left hand? None. Was it right hand? 5 kilos. Was it both hands kept down? 15 kilos.
Left hand, none.
Okay, it was right hand 5 kilos.
We have a winner.
We got a winner
We have
already.
already.
Please come up the front and collect your Texas Hold'em pool poker.
It seats 4. It has a full poker playing kit.
You can play strip poker. It's in the pool. It won't go for very long in the
You're
pool.
already half naked. I think we need to give away a bit more.
I think we got to give away a bit more. Tell us
about luxury yachts.
All you sad people who want to
Play
play
again.
We have a less awesome prize than that for you.
Is it the budget papers?
Too tight.
Budget papers.
Are you ready? You already understand the rules. Okay, we love luxury yachts. Who doesn't love luxury yachts? That's not a question. Who doesn't? You sit down.
Come on. Is that Melanie? Is she coming on next?
Melanie loves luxury houses. Alrighty, so we're going to ask you, there's two options here. One is true, A or B, about a luxury yacht. So one of these is true. A platform with beach sand that can be hydraulically lowered to the water level.
So a yacht has this.
The yacht has this. A yacht that has a platform with beach sand that can be hydraulically lowered to water level. That's A, that's left hand. Or B, an onboard wave pool with a small surfable wave. That's right hand. Left hand, the platform. Right hand, the onboard wave pool. A, it's the platform that lowers down. That's on a $210 million yacht. Okay, you're worse at yachts.
All right. Okay. No, they're better at yachts.
You're better at yachts.
Okay, well, let's flip this around and go less yachts, more ear hair. And the Indian grocer Radhakant Bajpai was crowned the official Guinness World Record holder for the longest ear hair in 2003.
Isn't that delicious?
13.2 centimetres. But he wanted to beat this. How far did he get in 2010? Was it A, your left hand, same? Was it right hand, 25 centimetres? Was it keep your hands down, 37 centimetres?
A lot of thinking about that one.
Okay, it was 25 centimetres. There we go.
And I'd like us all to take a moment and think about that. 25 centimetres of ear hair deliberately grown.
But once you get to 24, why would you stop?
25. How do you not stop?
Go.
Let's go back to yachts. Yachts went so well. Okay, same situation. There are two options. One exists, one doesn't. Is it A? Bear with me, these take a while. This is very complicated. A, they have a paparazzi zapping laser that scans the horizon for cameras and fires beams of light into their lenses, destroying them completely. That's your left hand. Do you want to hear that again? Paparazzi zapping laser that scans the horizon for cameras and fires beams of light into the camera's lenses that destroys them completely. That's left hand. Imagine what right hand's going to be. Personal supply of 3 nanocom satellites that can be launched in case of communications going down at sea.
That's right hand.
That's right hand. So you're zapping the paparazzi with the left hand.
Or you've
got nanosats with the right hand. Decisions made. It's the paparazzi zapping lasers on the Eclipse, which is worth $800 million if you're in the market.
Oh, sweet. I got this one. Okay. This goes back to the digit excess again. Crack of Dawn, a lady at Burning Man in 2008. Her real name, Crack of Dawn. In 2008, videotaped and witnessed by the executive committee from the Player Book of Records. Not quite the Guinness Book of Records.
Player Book of Records. Yeah.
How many fingers in her mouth? Was it?
Record for the most fingers in her mouth, we're not kidding.
What type of fingers? Children's fingers?
Human fingers. Adult human fingers.
Adult human fingers. Okay, was it 30 with your left hand, 35 with your right hand, or 41, keep your hands down? So 30 left hand, 35 right hand, 41, keep your hands down. Oh. Ooh. I think we might have a winner. It was 30. Just 30.
30 fingers in the mouth. Oh. Why do we have a prize for you? You need to
No, because we have to give our sponsors ties away.
Oh, we do.
Because we are very proud to be.
Maybe a choice.
Well,
because this is pretty sweet. I mean, you get an ANU tie from the ANU Science faculty. Would you like a Flex magazine featuring Joe Wiederbird? This is pretty sweet. It's new. It's the latest edition. Do you have it?
No.
You don't have it? Or,
We got 2 winners.
or this high quality lint renovator, lint remover. It's an electric lint remover.
For excess lint.
For excess lint and excess fluff on your clothing. I mean, I don't know who chooses what.
Everyone gets an AU tie.
Oh, you get a who wants the Flex magazine? The lint remover. You were secretly hoping. I could see the look in his eyes was the Flex magazine. I think in the end, knowledge was the winner there.
I think knowledge was the winner. I just want to know. Did you look at the footage of the 30 fingers in the mouth?
No, I looked at the hair though. Good fucking God. 25 centimetres of hair is not attractive. If you want to talk not suitable for work, I would rather be caught looking at porn than looking at that image.
What did you Google?
I
What's
call it
longest
research.
hair?
Yeah, that's I look at that a lot actually. I had that one up my sleeve for a while.
I got caught once with, Google shows you your previous searches. It was like,
You got caught once.
what's longest hair? Someone else found it.
No, I deleted it. That counts.
Okay, let's start talking to some guests again.
All right. We're going to have games. Carry on.
We're out of games. Who are we talking to next?
We're going to talk to Melanie Bale-Smith. She's an architect, but she's not just an architect. She's the director of, I forgot how to say it again, Bale.
I heard
Architecture.
Bale. Like I know Bale. Bale.
Bale Architecture. She's an adjunct professor at the University of Sydney School of Architecture. Her passions, turn-ons include, passions focus on contemporary architecture and design and the potential of architecture to influence and change how people live.
Clap her on. Welcome her very much.
We seem to be breathing water.
Sorry?
Every time we sit down, there's more bottles
It's
of
a
water.
hint. It's a hint.
I don't understand. Hi,
With
Melanie.
me.
Hi.
Melanie, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So what do? You architect. What does it actually mean? Like, I've always been fascinated, but that's only because I watch Grand Design, so I figured it looks pretty damn easy.
No, but you watch Grand Designs means you are an architect.
Oh, I know a lot about architecture.
Well, that's a problem that we have to deal with.
Do you hate Grand Designs?
It's a little bit like watching work. It's a little bit like watching
Like
a car
watching-
crash.
A car crash at work.
Well, because you can see all the mistakes that you possibly have made or that you anticipate could happen, and it's a little bit sort of like, I don't need to see that because I'll probably see that tomorrow. I think what's great about seeing more design and more discussion about the built environment and about building is that we are increasing our knowledge of design culture in this country. And I think that can only be a good thing, but it does mean that you have to fight against the block mentality. So, of course, can't you renovate and build an entire house in 2 weeks sort of thing?
I think you can.
Yeah.
Are you going to say I can't?
Yeah. You can try bringing 50
So can I
trades.
clarify? So we're all going to die by 85 at best, and we can't build a house in 2 weeks, fully renovated house.
Well, maybe you could. I mean, they're actually 3D printing houses now, which is a very interesting exercise,
cool.
and that parts are going to be able to be put together in a modular sort of fashion, I guess you could say.
Do they look cool? Are they good design?
No, not necessarily. Just because you can do something quickly doesn't mean it's good design.
So it's better if it's cheap, then it becomes good design, right?
No, I think that good design, and this was something that was brought home to me on a panel I was on last week, good design actually does take effort and cost money, but good design has longevity. Good design considers what you're actually building from, why you're building from it.
So we're doing that in Australia right now? We're
Not particularly well.
No?
We have the, I'm only going to bring out 2 statistics, I promise you I don't have to
Do what you
this
like.
up.
You can't all sound.
So the size of the average new Australian house that's being built, as of I think 2011 or 2013, was 243 square metres.
So how does that compare to this room?
That's a lot of this, that's most of this room.
And so
Compared to 160 square metres in 1984.
So we're kicking 1984's butt.
Yeah.
So
we have the biggest new houses in the world.
Yeah!
No one
So,
cares.
yeah.
They all live in apartments, they're from Sydney. They're not rich. Are you rich?
But I mean, I think the other
no one wants to
statistic,
share that one. Why?
I think the other statistic that's really interesting is actually, that's new houses. So you can say, well, I don't live in a new house and I'm not building a new house, so I'm exempt from this terrible statistic about how we're increasing the sprawl of our cities
Absolutely.
by building all these massive houses.
I'm exempt because I'm me.
Yeah.
But we have, the other statistic is that we have the largest residential space per capita in the world. So Australians have.
Wait, is that averaged across every
Oh,
Australian?
no one else wants to cheer that one either.
For Gus, 2.27 tonnes of waste per capita, is that right? So we have 90 square metres every man, woman and child in this country, and this is while our household size
And
is
so
increasing.
our competitors across.
I have 90
New
square
Zealand.
metres of space just to me. If I, that's. So you imagine if
So-
you think
so-
you're living in a bedsit in Newtown and you've got 10 square metres, there's someone else out there who's got your other 80 square
Is
metres.
anyone going to take the time to
Seriously,
Sorry.
you can write them a letter and take that back.
We're beating the United States.
Are we
They're
winning by
Are we
miles,
beating the
though?
United
yeah.
States?
We're winning by miles.
Yeah, they're at 77 square metres.
Seriously, that's awesome. That's. Don't we want to be number one? Like, don't we?
Our houses are obese. There's no other way to put it.
Oh,
We're kind of competing neck and
But
neck.
what if you want to like lie on the floor and just stretch out as far as you can and not
This
be
is
able
just
to
the toilet,
not
right?
be
Just in
able-
the toilet. I don't even want to see the walls of my toilet.
I want to look into the distance and like it's all far off.
I don't want to see any walls.
Yeah, exactly. Like, isn't that a
You go to the
legitimate design?
desert.
Walls give you cancer.
Sorry?
Walls give you cancer.
If
that's
they've got
the problem.
asbestos. Well, no. That's
So,
a
but
different
why then? What are we doing that's bigger? Are we just making everything bigger? Is it specific rooms? Is it like we just make our roofs taller? What's
I
the
think-
detail here?
I think the great Australian dream of owning your own home and having your own piece of land that can be yours,
You can shoot
mark
a
your
gun into the
territory,
dirt. You can do what you want.
is something that is now we are starting to pull back on that, but
Are we?
the fact is, yes, but only so the actual centre of Sydney is Parramatta, not the CBD, and that's only and it's
So
actually
it's
crept
like to
slightly towards back to the known CBD in the last couple of years. That means that we're actually putting a little bit of the brakes on the urban sprawl. But Melbourne, because we love to diss Melbourne because we're from Sydney. Melbourne
are.
has
Yeah, boo them.
Melbourne
Bloody
is
Melbourne.
something like just over 2,000 square kilometres is Melbourne, and yet Seoul in Korea, which has 20 million people, is
10 square
smaller. No, not quite,
11.
but it's is at least a couple hundred square kilometres smaller than Melbourne, and yet has
So in Seoul,
10 times the occupants.
But
they
the
don't
problem-
have
the
many
problem
like home theatre rooms and stuff. Like
No, that's right. I mean, part of the issue is that we're just building. We don't want to go out. We want to cocoon, and so we've got a project home industry that's
we're in our
based
moth
around.
stage of development.
That's right. So we need an
We've been
entertainment
caterpillars
room.
through the 80s and things like
Now
that,
we're-
and
we're-
now we're ready
But
to
it's not
pronounce
just it's not just a
blossom
media
into a
room.
beautiful butterfly.
That's right. It's not
Well,
just
but
a media
what
room.
was
It's a
it?
media room for my kids. It's a I love
Multiple
my
media
children.
rooms.
I love my children so much. I never want to see them ever again. I want 300 square metres between me and them.
No, it's not never want to see them. It's provide them with opportunities to be alone.
Yeah.
It's
But hang on, we're talking multiple media rooms. I hadn't thought of that yet.
You
But I
cast it
guess-
on concrete. It'll be perfect.
So yeah, I mean, again, this is something that's perpetuated by our mass building companies. So project home builders, it's something that's it is perpetuated a little bit by things by Grand Designs, where people have, I guess, increased aspirations about how much space they have or
And
they
people want
need.
new homes more than old or renovated homes. Is that part of this?
I think it does contribute to it, and I think that also it comes down to how much they're spending on what they're. I mean, in Sydney we all talk about real estate endlessly, and so much of what people are buying is the land value. Not
We don't talk
not
about
the
real estate
property.
in Canada. like we talk about highbrow stuff.
We don't have to
like
worry.
like philosophers you can't even pronounce. Like we just have
Schopenhauer.
conversations. That yeah. So.
Schopenhauer, he loved architecture. No, it's got nothing to do with it.
Derrida has been known for dissing a few architects, but we won't go there.
But he's always been a bastard. That sort of. So we're making everything bigger. We all want to live in newer houses. We all want more land in general. Is that the gist?
I think that's been something that's been perpetuated by our great Australian dream, and I think it's something it's changing though. We are becoming increasingly urbanised as a country, but this is where we're then getting into the mega cities, where where does Sydney begin and end? Sydney kind of is now Wollongong, and it's now Campbelltown, and it's now all the way up to Newcastle. The idea of these separate cities are now these, kind of strips that go for kilometre after kilometre after
And a
kilometre.
mega city's like, that's 10 million or more, isn't it?
Yes, generally speaking.
I was
yeah.
looking at that on the internet
Oh,
by
were you?
accident only the other day. A mega city's 10 million or more. And then you get, was it a con drops location?
Conurbation.
You play
Conurbation.
SimCity too much. Like SimCity's a bit different from real life.
SimCity.
How? I mean, like, we're surrounded by some.
Oh, it's a step up from Minecraft, you know, which is really otherwise known as kitty crack. But anyway, so.
I'm not allowed to use that. So what are like we have to talk to you about this because that's we just want to hear the dirty stuff. Like what are the most ridiculous houses, buildings you're aware of? Tell us some of that. Like I want architecture porn here.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you can go. I mean, there are houses that have. I mean, for example, their own cinemas. So I mean, look, Peter Jackson, it's fine. Like I mean. The man.
He's a movie guy.
Exactly.
He's like, I gotta watch my own Hobbit. That terrible movie by myself.
I've got to watch my own Hobbit. Sounds like
I'm just gonna cry at how awful this thing.
I think a great example was a house that was in the newspaper fairly recently in Melbourne. I've got to be very careful. I don't sound like I'm dissing other architects, but they have I'm safe nowhere. And I don't know if everyone saw it, but it has a tennis court and no garage to be seen. But in fact, the part of the tennis court raises.
Yeah, it does.
And you drive down into, I think it's a 12 or 16 car garage, and there's a line.
What does it matter once you're at 12?
Cars, and there's like mirrors, so it looks like you've got 32 cars instead of 16 cars. And I mean, the house is absolutely enormous, but you know, under this sort of very serene tennis
So
court.
what, you push a button and it kind of...
Yep, literally, Dr.
And they didn't have to do that, right? They had
That's right
nothing
here.
to do.
Yep.
Do you have to put planning permission in for that? And
Yes.
like you're gonna write that
Slightly.
somewhere on a council form.
Yeah.
Tennis court will lift up.
Description of work, yeah.
Does this involve evil criminal land?
Yes, actually filling in the form for that would have been interesting.
Have you been involved?
I fill in a lot of council forms and that would have been
Have you been involved with filling in forms for evil criminal layers? Have you got any kind of these?
No.
Any other buried?
Unfortunately.
You can't tell us, can you?
No.
You know.
Oh, I'm sworn to secrecy. Someone will give me. Yeah.
Imagine you're making it up. Like a friend of yours, right?
Yeah.
Is that the wackiest thing, the lift up tennis court? Because I want more.
Oh, there's all sorts. Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's any number of.
We'll be amazed by anything. We're not architects.
Do people surprise you? Do people surprise you with the things that they want?
Oh, look, we have had clients who've come in and said, yes, and I must house my, X number of bottles collection of wine, and I think something that also
like more than 100.
Oh, definitely. We're
Like
talking into the
200.
thousands.
Millions?
Yeah. So I think what's interesting. I mean, we've actually just done a project which has a basement workshop, which is beyond most sort of the shed.
Like workshop, like a shed with drills and stuff like that.
Oh, but this is something that Tafe would be happy to own, to be honest. So and I mean, this is a fabulous one. At least this client's going to use it.
I'm fantasising right now. That would be amazing.
I think one of the greatest signs of excess that we see actually is people who want the showpiece kitchen that they'll never use because they just use the microwave. Oh, but I must have the most expensive this, that, and the other. And
but I'm never going to cook.
But I'm never going to cook, and it's all for show, and I think that's interesting, and that's sort of a situation we've seen.
Do you reckon some of these things, even the crazy tennis court that lifts up, it's solving a problem of being able to.
You mean the genius tennis court?
Yeah, the genius, but it's for show as well as to solve a practical problem.
Of course it is. You've got to put your 16 cards somewhere. I mean.
It's not easy.
No, it's not.
In Canberra, it's easy. Here, I don't know how to do it.
Park them all out the front. You've got to move the Tirana to get to the Commodore.
As long as I don't touch Kingswood.
Trana,
yeah.
Come on, I'm from Newcastle.
You're from Newcastle. So
originally.
Fake Sydney. Oh no, it's now Sydney because it's a conurbation.
That's right, yeah, fake Sydney. The beaches are much better in Newcastle though.
So what do you reckon of the miniature houses movement?
Oh, small houses?
Yeah, whatever they call it.
Tiny houses. Sorry, tiny
whatever.
houses. Nano houses.
Yeah.
Look, I think the intention of people who are really interested in sort of the small house movement and how can we rethink our footprint. I mean, there's a lot behind that. It's about sustainability, it's about life cycle costing, it's about how are we actually living. The fact that if we do live in smaller dwellings, we're going to spend more time outside of those dwellings.
Yep.
Socialising with people.
Getting skin cancer. That's what
No, you can go to your internet cafe and sit inside on the fluoro lights. You get vitamin D that way. It's. I think it's more from the point of view that. I think people are really wanting to examine how do we live. Why have we got to this point where we are wanting to close ourselves off from other people? The more space we put around ourselves that we call our own, the more it's like a buffer between us and having to interact with others. And it's a.
Do you like interacting with other people?
generally.
It's pretty
yes.
shy. So when you're talking to clients, do you do more domestic or do you do the other one?
We do a lot of single...
Industrial.
Oh.
Commercial.
Commercial. We do a little bit of commercial work. A lot of our projects are residential projects, and we're dealing with apartments and existing buildings and heritage buildings and new homes and a whole range of sort of...
Do clients often do things that you would do, or so often they say, I want this kind of thing in this kind of space, and it's like, why are you doing that? Or are there some that really you think that's a really smart idea to do? Like, do you have ideas about living that
Yes.
contradict what they're saying?
Yeah, I think part of coming on the journey of a project, of doing a project with an architect, is that you're going to have someone who hopefully is going to ask questions and actually provoke why you want to do things and how you live. And I think many of our clients would say that they live differently and they live better because of the way that we've designed those spaces and the way those spaces work, and that we're really interested in spaces being flexible, that as you go through, especially for families who have children, they might start the house, live and do the project with no children, and then children come along, and then children get older, and they need to use spaces in different ways, hobbies, as time goes on. And so we're very interested in how can you make a house really flexible and robust, so that you're not having to renovate every 5 years, that you're not having to...
Isn't that good for business though?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
I think the sign of success for us is that we have a very happy client who can live in their house for 20 or 30 years, and
recommend you to others.
But you would say, as the house that has the multiple home cinemas and the redundancy is their idea.
Yes.
That they can solve every problem by having a room.
Yes.
We can separate each other out. And
But it's a
but
status symbol as well.
flexibility would be the other option.
Yes.
The other option to design a space
That's right.
that is able to cope with what we need.
And Australia, where we are here in Sydney, I don't know about Canberra, we have a fairly benign climate, so we live outdoors a lot.
Like between minus 12 and 40.
And snow last week, yeah, we know.
It is not hard to plan for. You need a jumper and a t-shirt, John.
I think though that a lot of architects are very interested, and people talk about indoor-outdoor living, and that's something that Australians have become increasingly good at getting their heads around. Is actually the great outdoors is our third room, our living room, our dining room, and hey, there's another space that we can live in and be part of. And I guess that's why I think seeing greater density in our cities, so that we actually don't need to take up as much space, that we're happy to live a little bit close to each other, stop being a bit NIMBY. Australia, I thought NIMBY was actually an Australian word. It's not. It actually emanates from the US or the UK. But I think Australians have absolutely stolen the word NIMBY. We've got to stop being NIMBYs and be more accepting of more accepting the fact that we if we're going to live in a greater urban situation, which we are in Australia, and we're heading in that way, then greater density is really important. Density is absolutely critical for better infrastructure. For
like waste management, for example.
Yeah, well, that's I think, and also I think we joke about when could we build on some landfill, but the fact is that we are going, if we don't pull back from the city fringe, we are going to be really building houses where we should never have built houses. I think that's
I have a really important question here.
But it's got to be your last
and
one.
stop building more roads.
No.
Stop building more roads.
What's your house like?
I live in an apartment.
Is it a big apartment?
It's probably, I think it's
About
around, I have measured it, it's around 100 square metres.
And that's what,
four
like
of us live in it.
a quarter of this room?
No, not quite.
Not quite
It's
a quarter.
probably, it's 25 by 4 metres, so we can do some simple maths here, but...
I can't. That's where I rely on people like you.
But this is a common issue that actually, as humans, we find many clients cannot actually conceptualise the size of space.
Yeah.
And it's quite fascinating going through the building process, and as you get through different stages, the clients go, wow, this is huge! And then the lighting's going, oh my gosh, it's so small, the room's so small, what have we done? And then the painter paints and they go, oh, we love it, oh, it's so huge again. And there's this incredible sort of sense of how space morphs over time through a building process. So it's very common for
Once
us.
you put the carpet on the walls, it really thickens out.
And the mirrors on the ceiling, though, balances out. Sydney, right? That's the latest thing.
All right. One last thing.
I'll go there.
What's your recommendation to fix this thing that we're getting the most excessive houses in the world? What do you think we need to do?
I think we need to. I think the key thing is to actually think about how are we living. That we should be. We're social beings. We actually should be spending more time in more. We have beautiful outdoors in Australia. There's no reason why we can't live in the street. I think spend more time in the street, spend time in community facilities, parks, and so forth. And I think you start to see. I think the idea of how we're improving, starting to really improve the grain of our urban fabric. Laneways and looking at how we're using our established sort of suburbs and rethinking that. I think that is the start of us thinking differently about how we share space, because we're still a little bit too much about, my space is behind the fences. And I think actually thinking a little bit outside the box and going, yeah, sure, well, I might live in a house, but that doesn't mean I don't. I need to live in a massive house. It doesn't mean I have to have my own cinema and my own media room, my own this, that, and the other. And actually I could share these things, and actually I could get social and a bit more communal about these.
Get social.
Get social.
So that's the message, get social.
I definitely think that's the case. I think the more coffee we drink in this country and the more cafes we have, and the more we spend out. I'm a big advocate of coffee, as my staff know. But I think that footpath lifestyle that you see in Paris, that people talk about so much, the idea of sitting and watching life go by. I think engaging with that, because we have the climate to do it, is really where we need to go and stop living off our cars, basically, because the further we move out, the more we're going to be spending time in our cars and not in those houses that we built, and not in the outdoors or in those social or community spaces. So
ditch the cars.
Yeah.
Drink more coffee.
Yeah.
Get social.
Yeah, get social.
We've just solved your architecture firm's logo slogan problems. I think on that we should thank you.
Please thank Melanie Bassman.
Thank you.
You have to have one of those. I want to do a reno now. I'm feeling that tennis court idea is
I want to
going
expand
very
the tennis
exciting.
court on my roof that opens up.
But your roof is on an angle. I've seen it.
Well, look, I don't know. All right, what's
Uphill
the last
tennis. Uphill
what's
tennis.
the last excess that we're going to talk
Well,
about?
we've been talking about a lot of excess, and what we've realised is if we talk about a lot of excess, it's all physical, and we want to get more metaphysical and or spiritual. And the only way to do that is with a priest. Would you agree? Well,
Is that what we always...
we always do. We always end with a priest because as atheists, we believe in religion. So we'd like to bring on Father Rod Bauer from the Gosford Anglican. Rod, how are you?
G'day, good.
We have to confess, we've seen Rod before and we thought he was so good we'd bring him back, but also we need the spiritual advice.
I'm sure you do.
So excess, do you handle excess a lot?
I looked up, we as we spoke about last time, we have a code of conduct. So I looked
We
through
don't have a code of conduct.
No, you have. I have a code of conduct.
Let's be
and
clear.
I looked through the code of conduct to see if it mentioned excess.
Oh, yeah.
The only time it mentions
The
excess...
code of conduct, I just want to say, is not the Bible.
No,
it's a
clergy
different
code of
book.
conduct.
It's a special
So
book that's
the only thing that we
It's about this big, I think.
said we're not supposed to do excessively is the excessive consumption of alcohol.
Is that right?
Yes. So I've been to a clergy conference this week. Where they put it? In a vineyard.
Yes.
Yes.
In an area.
What
of
could possibly go wrong?
Is this to test you?
So we spent most of yesterday turning wine into water.
Is that how you become a priest? Or is that how you get kicked out of it?
So I've been excessively hydrating today.
And that's why we got all this water
And the
for.
trouble with that, I discovered around here, down at Darling Harbour, we dropped into a pub down at Darling Harbour for a drink earlier in the
Drink of
day.
water.
And Darling Harbour must be inhabited by giants, because I went into the loo, and what guys will know this is the new urinals are kind of just a little bowl stuck on the wall kind of thing.
No, that's the Dyson hand dryer.
And
Don't use that. Don't do that.
Said, you had to be at least 6'6" to reach this thing.
So what did you do?
Well,
Because Rod, just for a moment, just let's.
I know.
6'4".
I know.
So
And look, you ever tried it on tippy toes? It's not possible.
What are these architects doing?
So I'm against excessively tall people today.
Luckily, they're all
Sorry
quite short.
for the excessively tall people.
So there's no real restrictions except on alcohol. So drugs, prostitutes.
Fine. No. Remember that one? Yes.
Well, they don't know. Like, so the whole...
Code of Conduct, Section 7. No member of the clergy is allowed to enter a brothel except without a valid reason.
Which would be...
Oh, I don't know, Your Honour, I'm a 75-year-old virgin with a dodgy prostate. I thought it's now or never, I don't know.
I'm curing my own cancer.
My only concern is how quickly you came up with that excuse.
Yes.
Sorry, reason.
Excess.
So, no, but how do you handle people? Surely people come to you. I only learned this last time we spoke, that the Anglicans have confessional. This is a shock to me, having gone to an Anglican school.
They don't teach you about
this.
that.
Never came up.
Well, whatever.
As far as I'm aware.
But you're a perfect child.
That's true. There was
You don't
nothing
need to confess, son. Nothing for you,
We
son.
already know you're guilty. Fuck off. That's pretty much what happened. So you must hear a few excess stories. Now, without naming too many names, what are the most common sort of excess stories?
What are you asking?
What sort of stories do you hear? Like people excess.
Gambling's a big one.
Gambling's the big.
Yeah, excessive gambling. Yeah, really huge problem.
How are people defining that for themselves? So they're coming and saying, I feel.
They're broke and their wife's left them because
So it's all dudes?
They've gone mostly. No, not always, mostly. Yeah, gambling's a really huge issue.
Is that a growing issue in Australia?
Yes, yeah. And it leads to family breakdown and all sorts of terrible things, and sometimes even to suicide. So that's that kind of addiction. I mean, excess, I guess, one of the sort of expressions of excess ends up in addiction, and whether that's
a behaviour you can't control, or
gambling, alcohol, drugs.
Well, I mean, we came out number 5 on drinking beer and number 1 on eating houses.
Yes.
But I think the other thing, we are number 1 or number 2 on gambling.
Yes.
I'm not going to cheer that one.
And now you can do it on your mobile phone. I mean, you don't have to be at the tabernacle.
You're encouraged to, then they'll give you free money at the bank of meat.
It's just so easily accessible.
How do you handle that? You just say, don't. I forgive you, don't.
Oh, we mentioned CB2 earlier. Yeah, CB2.
Yeah, think your way out of it. Yeah.
GA, Gamblers Anonymous, self-help groups, support groups, all that and more.
Why are we gambling so much? I mean, is it just at the individual level, or is there something else in society going on? Why do you see it so much now, more than you would have seen it previously?
What I see when I listen to people is an overdeveloped sense of not having enough. So I've got to get more, and this is a kind of easy way to get more
everything.
If I I've got to win lotto. That's
So previous to them getting into gambling, they're thinking they don't have enough.
Yes, that's right. That's one of the things that sort of really kicks off.
So houses aren't big enough, not enough cars, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But if you go back to
society.
If you go back to what Melanie was saying before, we have the biggest houses in the world. How is it that we have
the smallest families? Yeah,
so why do we feel we don't have enough when we have the biggest houses?
Families are getting smaller, and the houses are getting bigger.
Maybe they're not getting smaller, they're just getting lost in the giant media room.
I got another family in the media room.
Then you had 4
You can have one wife in the one media room, another wife in the other.
Have you thought of recommending that? They look around their houses because maybe there's more family than they thought.
I'll give you that.
I think you should. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, mate.
Spiritual advice goes both ways.
I appreciate that.
So, how do you feel about this? I mean, you've been known to have a few opinions, and you've been known to make them public. Do you rage against any particular excesses, or do you talk about this whole thing very much in your day-to-day religious life?
I guess I do, really. I mean, one of our big things is climate change, and so excessive pilfering of the planet.
We're pretty good at that too,
and we're really good at that.
So
that's kind of climate change is really being ruined by excessive consumption of the Earth's resources. So and again, we're a sort of excess-driven. Asylum seekers is a really big one for us, and that's being driven at the moment by excessive fear. So we're being told that we're being threatened. So there's an excessive amount of fear in our community on this particular issue.
And you see this a lot? You actually see this personally, day to day?
Yes.
People
on
generally
social media. Oh,
Do you have people saying generally, we're going to get overrun by them, they'll steal our jobs,
All the
steal our
time.
cars?
Yes.
Seriously? Wow.
Yes, yeah. On social media, we get hit all the time with that very idea that we need to keep these people out because they'll take all our jobs or they're all terrorists. In fact, what immigration does is stimulate the economy and creates more jobs.
But
So
why
it's
are we so fearful then? Why are we as a country so worried about immigration when
I think we
we've got
always
so much?
have been. I really do. I think. I mean, our constitution is really built on almost that sort of racist platform that we had to keep anyone that wasn't sort of English or white out, and so that's kind of it gets pulled out from time to time for political purposes, and because it always plays well for politics. You create an enemy, and
but it's also bizarre that we don't, maybe it's because we don't have other countries to compare ourselves with very close. We have so much. That we have these excessive houses. We have such resources everywhere. We mine our garbage dumps, and yet we also
65%.
So you've got to actually work pretty hard to create that atmosphere of want or of fear, because we actually do. I mean, we live in abundance.
We do.
And we've got so much. So you've actually got to work pretty hard
you
to
reckon
convince people that there's not enough.
But what about positive excess? Don't we have
I
positive
want to know why we're working. How are we working so hard to create that idea that you don't have enough, and why are we doing that?
It plays into the political purposes of politicians, basically. I think it's to create that fear is a really tried and tested way of controlling people. And that's,
But what about, let's make it positive, because everyone's very like this. Do you ever see examples of like excessive kindness, excessive giving, excessive,
No, it's good.
anyone, one person?
yeah, look, you do.
Other than yourself, of course.
No, you do see excessive kindness. I mean, we see that. I mean, in little places all over the country, we see this. We see this in Gosford, for instance, where we feed the homeless. We've got about 120 homeless people in Gosford living on the streets. Well, back in, when was the Olympics? 2000.
Monday.
Yes, 2000.
2000. What they did was they put all the homeless people in Sydney on a train and sent them to Gosford to get them out of town.
That's a Brazilian solution.
So that then visitors didn't see this, and so what happens? Well, we thought, what are we going to do with these people? So we need to help them and feed them, and so we stayed. And so we've got a lot of homeless people that we look after, and the whole community come together to do that.
Yeah.
And so
But that's not
and you see
excessive.
it all over.
That's good
you see that all over
kindness.
the country. Yeah, that's excessive kindness, if you like.
Do you get overgivers though? Do you get like overly generous church donators? Do you get people who kind of whip themselves into it? We're working on
No, you don't get that. Yeah, so you can help me do that. That'd be great. Yeah.
So excess is all pretty much negative.
In general, yes.
That's a
yes,
pity.
yes. You get little pockets of excessive kindness and excessive generosity. That's pretty pessimistic, isn't it? Yeah.
We're uplifted now. We're feeling really good about this. I thought there would have been examples of people, old ladies needing ticos and puppies and all that sort of thing. That you have too many ticos, you got a special room.
You get all that.
things
I got a
like
whole. A woman came up the other day with a whole heap of crocheted knee rugs. And there's about 150.
Are they tiny? Like
they're like about sort of that square. And she said, I've spent 6 months just every night pouring love into these. Can you give them? So I've been around the nursing homes and sort of given them.
There you go.
So there you go. There's a bit of excessive love, excessive giving.
Well, it's just her
And you
idea
get
of what the
stuff
world
like that.
needs is
You
more
do.
knee rugs.
You do get stuff like that. And some of the people in the nursing, I just love them. They're beautiful and colourful and so you get nice things like that too.
What about religion? We got too much of that?
Absolutely.
hang on. Aren't you meant to say absolutely?
I'm not the
Aren't you
expert.
the guy with the collar here?
How much less should we have?
Well, you can't have less because it's just a human thing. It's part of one of the ways humanity expresses itself religiously. But you get some productive kinds of religion and some pretty unproductive kinds.
So Anglican and other.
Yes, good. No.
Yes.
But it's just part of the way we humans, and there's some really amazing stuff. I mean, like the traditions of compassion and care and service to the community. and as a theologian, this was Science Week this week, so I've decided I'm a quantum theologian.
Are you really?
What does that mean?
It's actually a thing.
Okay.
I looked it up. It's actually a thing. Quantum theology is actually a thing.
And just on your Wikipedia page, I'm guessing.
Yes. No.
Is this like tiny bits of theology that can't be broken into smaller chunks?
Irreducible religion.
Well, I think when you get sort of the quantum sort of physics stuff, you're really sort of getting down to being fascinated about what's in the middle. What's in the space between?
Priest, right? So you put a priest in a box,
Yes.
and until you open the box, you don't know if he's alive or dead. Is that what
Let him finish.
I'm trying to get to physics.
Quiet, Schroeder. I want to know.
Yeah, well, the physics side I find fascinating. I really do, because and when you get sort of the quantum physics stuff and deep proper theology stuff, they really do start to communicate with one another. I mean, one of the great Anglican theologians is Sir John Polkinghorne, and he is a mathematical physicist.
I've always thought so.
He's a professor of mathematical physicists at Cambridge University, and he's an Anglican priest. He worked at CERN with the particle accelerator.
Oh, he's alive now?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, the guy who first came up with the idea of the Big Bang. His father, George Lemaitre, he was a Jesuit priest.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. So
The Jesuits are sensational.
they are sensational. So there's a great tradition of quantum theology, where what we're really interested in is what's going on between two things, and that's all about relationships, stuff like. And there's what quantum physics tells us is there's a lot of empty, what we think is empty space. For instance, if you've got a little neutron-y thing, I know so much about it. Little neutron thing, yeah.
Science particle.
Science particle, yeah. Little neutron thing,
Yeah.
and imagine it was the size of a basketball, and you put it right in the middle of the Earth. The electron that's going around it would be out past the moon. So that's how much space is between these little things, and so what quantum physics really gets us interested in is what's going on in that space. What's going on in that relationship between those two things, and that is also a theological question. So when you get to quantum stuff, theology and science really come together. They're not opposed to one another. They never are really good. Deep theology and deep science are never at odds with one another. When we get to quantum stuff, we really see that.
That's a fascinating thing because we can easily hear connections between social justice and religion. There's a lot of parallels moving in how we talk to each other and all that kind of stuff. But it's a totally different world to talk about quantum physics and then say, but actually we can see parallels there and we can see connections.
And once scientists get to that point, they really start asking almost the theological questions, or the ethical questions, or the moral questions. Paul Davis, for instance, he writes something called The Mind of God, because he gets to a point in his scientific inquiry when he runs out of language, and so he has to start to find language.
This happens all the time. You both get to this where you go,
Yes.
You get to the point, and the serious physicists do it, the serious religionists do it.
Yes.
And serious economists.
Deep science
as well.
and deep theology, yes.
Yeah.
And they ask those amazing questions, and they leap over. I mean, a Bronze Age theologian, we call him Moses. We don't know who he was, but we call him Moses.
Never heard of him.
He comes up with this amazing idea that is so far out of his terms of reference. His terms of reference are only polytheism. So every little area has its own god, and there are many gods and that sort of thing. And we kind of like to think that he gives us monotheism, but he jumps way over that. He comes up with this idea that there is this act of being. It's not a being. He's the first quantum theologian, really. He doesn't think of God as a being at all. He's not a theist. He thinks of God as the actual act of being, the act of becoming.
Moses wasn't a theist?
No.
So he went from polytheist to non-theist.
I'd like to call it post-theism, but
Post-theist.
yeah, because the word he comes up with is the third person singular future tense of the verb to be.
Queensland schooling in the 1980s didn't cover that.
So it's a verb. It's not a noun. It's a verb.
God is a verb.
God is a verb. Well, the Hebrew, the tetragram, in Hebrew it's Yaheh Voteh. You can't actually, the consonants, there's no vowels in Hebrew, but the consonants are arranged in such a way that you can't actually say it. You can't. Well, my daughter's a speech pathologist. I said, have a look at this. Tell me if that can be voiced in a speech pathological way. She said, no, it can't. It can only be breathed. So it's kind of, we say Yahweh, but it's not really. It's kind of Yahweh. And it's a verb. And so this whole idea and this is, I think, what must have inspired George Lurch when he sort of got that idea of the Big Bang, that there was nothing, and then there was something.
And look, that for me, that still comes.
It's the act of becoming.
That still is the question that you just go, but why is there something? Yeah, why?
Well, that's the next question. Then why is there something?
Why? It's Big Bang's great.
Well, you find it when you're a bishop, won't you? Like, is that
If you rely on me being a bishop to find that out,
what's next
you're never going to know.
next? So you become father, then you become grandfather, then
Yes,
bishop. What's it?
no, that's it. I'm an archdeacon.
Are you really? I'm very impressed.
Yes,
I knew what it
Isn't
meant.
that a chess move?
That's the archdeacon. No, I think it's a synchronised swimming move.
An archdeacon is, I'm not a reverend.
You get wings, you're like a deacon.
I'm a venerable. And an archdeacon is, if I worked for Woolies, I'd be a regional manager.
One shot, you got multiple shots.
I'm kind of in charge of the Central Coast.
You put the catalogues out and you say, shops might...
And if I was in England, I'd get a knife of it.
Would you really?
Yeah, yes.
Well, they've come back. I know you're not
No,
British
we don't
monarchy.
hang them out. No.
But never a bishop, so we don't...
Never a bishop, no, I think there'd be a riot.
So we have to talk about Jesus briefly.
Okay.
What was Jesus' biggest excess? Like, what, not that I want you to bag out our Lord and Saviour.
No.
That's what we call it.
Yes.
What was he most excessive about?
I think he was most excessive about his passion for a different way of being, for humanity. I mean, that's really all he'd ever talked about was this thing he called the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God. And really what he was talking about was the fact that, gee guys, we're not doing this very well. We're just not looking after each other, we're not reacting very well. That relationship stuff that goes on between each other, we're not doing it so well. There's got to be a better way of doing this. And so he was obsessive about that better way of being. Actually, I'm waiting for present.
What? Is that Jesus?
No. There you go.
Thank you.
He was all about team humanity.
Team humanity.
Yes. Not Team Australia. About team humanity. And it was about how we get on together and how we make stuff happen together and don't kill each other and damage each other and how we enhance each other's lives. What do you call it? The kingdom.
But it's a strange thing for that to be an excessive focus, to be focused on humans, focused on what it is we do to each other, as opposed to ourselves, something else.
As opposed to else.
Well, as opposed to that focusing on what we do to each other and how we live in humanity, that you said that's excessive.
Yeah, well, you asked me what he was sort of excessive about. That's what he was excessive about. That's what he was utterly passionate about. It's all he talked about. It's all he really thought about.
So if you could wave...
He was addicted to it in that sense.
If you could wave your magic wand, which I assume you do get magic wands, right?
Absolutely.
And do they like these sticks or staves or badges of office? What excesses would you fix? Give us like top 2 or 3. Which are the ones would you cure gambling?
I'd go for the big one, what we're doing to our planet.
The climate one?
That's the big one.
That's the big one.
I have grandchildren now.
So
I would have thought you'd be barely above university.
Yes. And when you have grandchildren, there's grandparents around tonight, it
really
really sort of projects your focus way beyond your own lifetime. And so really I want my grandchildren to be able to flourish. I want to be able to breathe clean air and eat clean food and drink clean water and so if I had a magic wand, that would be the big one. That would be the big one. And I think if we and it's not so much about a magic wand, because I don't think that really works in that sense, because it's something that we've got to do. And if we work out how to do that, then along the way of working that out, we're going to solve a lot of other problems as well. Because to work out how to do that, we've got to work out how to get on a bit better between each other. So if we get to that point, we'll solve a whole heap of other problems on the way.
Done.
So that's a big one.
Fixed. Please thank Father Rob Bauer. You got another trophy.
Now you've got excessive trophy.
Now we have two. We have so much advice. I don't know what to do with it. What we have to do though, you've been watching KindaThinky, folks, and like this doesn't happen with nobody else. It might seem just like Will and I do it, but there are at least what?
They're an
4
excessive
other
team
people?
of many, many very powerful, important, very wonderful people helping.
And it's true, before we run off into the night, we want to thank about 800 people, so you can't leave anywhere, the doors have been locked. We want to thank the Australian National Centre for Public Awareness of Science, because they pay us to do this. We want to thank No Funny Business, we want to thank Ease International, our live stream sponsors, you people at home.
We'll get some big claps there in a second.
No one's clapping for Ease, oh, you're not doing the live stream. Redboat, anyone else? Anyone else?
The Australian Science Communicators.
The Australian Science Communicators, well
Our
done.
major sponsor and the wonderful people who have allowed us to put this event on tonight and ruin their Powerhouse Museum, the Powerhouse Museum.
The Powerhouse Museum.
Your glorious city, Sydney Science Festival.
That's them in here.
The ANU Colleges of Science and the ANU Alumni Association. Give it up.
We also want to thank, obviously, Carly Madden and Adrian King. They're the other half of KindaThinky. They're the people who do the real work. But more importantly, we're tight, so we have aspirational sponsors. These are people who don't quite sponsor us yet, but ought to. So to begin with, it should be, like, we would like to thank White Rabbit Breweries.
Well, they're not even on the stage.
They're not.
Right
Or
now.
Coopers. We'd like to thank Coopers.
Possibly Peroni.
Peroni, we're happy to thank James Squires as well. We don't care who we thank on that one, or almost any producer of Belgian beer except Stella Artois, because that's not real beer. So we'd like to thank all of them just in case. Any others?
You've got Virgin Galactic here. Do they
Virgin
actually
Galactic.
do anything?
Yeah, let's thank Virgin Galactic, because if they sponsored us, we got shot into space. We could do a show from space.
Yeah, fair enough. Threadbow, that'd be great.
Threadbow, because we bloody love it. Oh, sorry, we like it, we're supposed to say. So any other sponsors listening right now, we'd love to thank you. That's all the sponsors we have to thank, I believe. That's everyone.
I think the other big group of people that we got to thank.
For those of you who weren't listening.
That guy there. We're going to thank that guy there. Give him a big clap. We'd love to thank you all for coming out and risking your night to come out here into the untried, untested world that is KindaThinky, to spend your night with us. We've had a lovely time here in Sydney. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you very much to you. Thank you very much to everyone. We're back on the live stream. We're back in Canberra.
Move to Canberra. You can see this in a smaller venue too. It's very intimate. Very intimate.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
We've had a
guys.
lovely night.